This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
We interrupt this episode for a special news bulletin.
We interrupt today's episode for some special Animanicast and Animaniacs news. That's right. First of all, let's start with the Animanicast news. For the upcoming 25th anniversary of Animaniacs, we are going to be welcoming back to our show the creator of Animaniacs himself, Tom Ruegger. But joining him is going to be another special guest. It will be Sherri Stoner. That's right, the voice of Slappy Squirrel, as well as a writer and producer of the show. So if you have any questions about writing for the show or working on the show or Slappy Squirrel or anything like that, send it over to animanicast@retrozap.com and get them in as soon as possible, and who knows, you might be able to get yours answered on the air. Second of all, some Animaniacs news. The entire series is going to be collected on a new box set. All 99 episodes, including Wakko's Wish, are going to be released on October 2nd. So if you have not yet purchased your DVD copies of Animaniacs, this might be a great opportunity to get them all in the physical media form. Now, if you're looking for a great place to buy them, go to amazon.animanicast.com. That's amazon.animanicast.com. By going there, you're going to go to the Animanicast Amazon shop, and you'll be able to see not only a place where you can pre-order that DVD set, but you'll be able to purchase other Animaniacs merchandise as well from Amazon, and any other purchases you make anywhere else in Amazon by going through that link helps support our show. So amazon.animanicast.com, pre-order that set today. All right, now back to the originally recorded episode. And welcome everybody to episode 89 of the Animanicast.
All around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased that old weasel. The monkey thought 'twas all in fun. Was that cuckoo weasel, Jack? Good job, kid. Nice and juicy.
Wow, thanks.
And welcome once again to the Animanicast. We're the only podcast out there that's dedicated to the animated television series, Animaniacs. And here we explore the series, episode by episode, talking about all the cultural references and gags that we can find. And of course, in the end, we give each episode a water tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me once again in California is my brother Nathan.
It's $1.
And across the country in Georgia, about to make her way over to Dragon Con, it's Kelly.
Hi there.
Actually, I guess, Kelly, by the time this episode is coming out, you'll be probably leaving Dragon Con, so, whatever.
Yes.
But we hope it was a fun time.
I'm sure it will be.
Yes.
I'm sure it was.
I'm sure it was, yes, indeed.
Whatever, present or whatever tense you want to use.
Dragon Con, it seems like such a great convention to head down to. And I promise I will make it down there one of these days, especially if they continue to have it on Labor Day weekends. Then I should be able to escape from my school for at least the weekend, one would hope, one of these days.
You've got to. It's so much fun.
Yeah. One of the bigger cons, and hey, I'll check it out. I promise.
Okay.
But today we're not going to Dragon Con. We're not talking about any of that stuff. We're talking about episode 89 of Animaniacs, and today's episode features the segments 10 short films about Wakko Warner, No Time for Love. No time for love, Dr. Jones.
Hey, Dr. Jones, no time for love!
And the Boo Network. And, well, guys, what do you think about today's episode? If someone were to ask you in just a few words what you thought about it, what would you say, Nathan?
There was Wakko was in it, I think. I don't think Yakko and Dot were in it, and that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. Yakko, we were Yakko and Dotless.
Weird.
Yeah, Kelly, what about you?
There was a Spielberg reference.
There was at least once, right? One for sure, but yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it anyway. Well, Nathan, tell us before we get into our discussion today, when was today's episode first premiered?
So this episode first premiered on Saturday, November 2nd of 1996, which was right after Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes starred in the modern-day adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. VH1 just premiered their new series Pop-Up Video. It was 2 days before Spice Girls released their debut album Spice, and 3 days before Bill Clinton was reelected president. So there you go.
Well, a lot of eventful things right there.
I miss pop-up video.
Pop-up video. That was a lot of fun. They would bring it back. I mean, right now I don't have VH1, but a few years ago when we did have VH1 on their cable, they brought it back for like a little special, and it was just fun to see those little... I just like the sound of it all and everything. Everything. And it was like a great way to... learn funny facts about, or just interesting facts about the video you were watching. Do they even show videos at all? I honestly don't even know. Like, do they even show videos on VH1 or MTV anymore?
VH1 does. I don't know.
It'd be more likely, I think, for VH1 too. But I don't know.
I think they do like a top 10 thing occasionally. But
yeah.
I don't have cable anymore, so.
I know we're cutting cable. I don't know. Although I think I might be going back to cable because PlayStation Vue is terrible now these days. Total other conversation. We'll have about that later. Anyway. Well, let's go ahead and get into today's episode. First of all, today we had a brand new variant verse. Hey, Yakko is in today's episode, Nathan, briefly. He says... Lake Champlain.
Lake Champlain.
Yeah, he's also in the opening credits, but I don't count that.
That's true. Technically, he's in every episode. But I thought, I'd never been to Lake Champlain. Have either of you been up there into the areas of... That's in the Great Lakes, right? So I don't even know where it is.
I don't know where. I'm going to assume I haven't been there, but since I don't know where it is, maybe I have.
I have not been there.
Lake Champlain is a natural freshwater lake in North America, mainly within the borders of the United States, in the states of Vermont and New York, but partially situated across the Canada-U.S. border. So, yeah, it kind of gets into Quebec a little bit. So, I'm going to say no, Nathan, you have not. Knowing what I know about you, I don't think you've been to Vermont, the area of Vermont and New York, but maybe you've been doing some secret traveling I'm not aware of.
Yeah, no, I didn't. No.
So, this is what I thought. If you live in the area of Lake Champlain, around that area of Quebec and Vermont and New York, send us an email, animanicast@retrozap.com, and I'm going to send you a bunch of decals. But the address that you send me had better be in that general area, like within a few miles, close enough. You can't
walking distance.
Yeah, no. You have to be able to walk to the lake, and we want to see you take pictures next to the Lake Champlain. And no, I'm kidding. But if you live in that general area, send us an email, and I'll send you some decals, some Animaniacs decals, just for being in Lake Champlain because it popped up today, and why not? So let's go ahead and get into today's episode discussion, and we're going to start off with a very artsy kind of beginning. 10 short films about Wakko Warner.
Hello, listener. This is Jess Harnell, the voice of Wakko and Animaniacs, and you're listening to Animanicast, which is the best thing you could possibly listen to, especially if you're not wearing pants. I'd love to go on talking to you, but I can't because I've got a potty emergency. See you later. In 10 short films about Wakko Warner,
was written by Tom Minton and Paul Rugg, and it was directed by Adu Payton. So this was actually, I guess this was Paul Rugg's final cartoon written for Animaniacs right here. At least co-written with Tom Minton, who of course we all know is the inspiration for the Brain in many ways. But in this cartoon, this documentary filmmaker is talking about Wakko Warner, with a giant picture of Wakko behind him, and the picture keeps coming to life whenever the filmmaker looks away.
I'd like to present the result of this fascinating session in a work I call 10 Short Film About Wakko Warner. I hope you enjoy the film.
They go into showing these 10 films. So I'm going to go through these 10 films as quickly as I can, and then we're going to talk about which ones we thought were, the funniest or whatever. The first one is called Lunch with Steven. And of course, we all know it has to be Steven Spielberg, of course, because you can't say Steven on Animaniacs without thinking of Steven Spielberg. Unless it's that one guy who's, in the Please, Please, Please Get a Life Foundation, and he's coming to the Warner's party, but whatever. But in this case, Wakko is having lunch with Steven Spielberg, of course, but it's over the phone, like a speakerphone. And I thought this might have been kind of a reference to the fact that, that's how I think most of the writers had their interactions with Steven Spielberg, because he was always so busy across the world making movies and everything that was probably their main interaction. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but wasn't Tom Ruegger even... I think he talked to us about being hired for Tiny Toons and coming into the room thinking that Steven Spielberg was going to be there, and it was just a conference call with Steven Spielberg.
I don't remember if it was Tiny Toons or Animaniacs, but he had a meeting scheduled, and then he thought he was going to be there in person, and everybody was gathered around the phone.
Yeah.
I will say, though, Kelly, because I know you want to know, the first time I met Steven Spielberg, I walked in the room, and there he was, and it was a speaker box because he wasn't in the room.
Oh, what a disappointment.
It was just phone. It was a phone machine, and there were like a whole bunch of people gathered at this table around this phone machine, and we're all leaning into the phone machine. Steven, how are you? Okay, we've got a lot of energy. Okay. Anyway, the meeting went very well. We had a face-to-face the following week, and it obviously the Tiny Toons meetings went very well, and we ultimately were in production on that.
So, close to home, I'm sure, for the writers. Volunteerism. Wakko goes to volunteer to be pet by a bunch of old people, and they all fight over him, and they all want to pet him. I guess he's kind of like a therapy dog thing.
Like a cat or something.
Yeah, therapy, cat, dog, bug, penguin, something. Wakko plays golf with Benny Hill, just like it says. He runs around. He's hitting Benny Hill on the head with a golf club, and then Hello Nurse walks by, and they chase Hello Nurse around the golf course, just like a Benny Hill skit. And the wacky sax kind of playing in the background sounds very much like the Benny Hill theme. Did either of you have any experience watching Benny Hill at all when you were younger?
No, I've just seen parodies.
It was something that I know that, like, my aunt, I think I saw watching, and they were laughing hysterically. But whenever I saw it, when like reruns of Comedy Central, it was never that funny to me. It just seemed like the same kind of gags each time. Lady walks by and you chase her around, and yeah. Anyway, that's Benny Hill. The next one is Alone Time, and it's just Wakko sleeping on a terrible-looking couch. He needs to get a better couch. My dinner with Wakko was Dr. Scratch and Sniff and Wakko eating dinner together, and Dr. Scratch and Sniff is talking about the Mayan ruins, and he ends up stacking these pieces of bread with mashed potatoes and talking about we're all stones in life, and Wakko is listening and drinking a giant soda and burps and has like the longest Maurice LaMarche burp on record in Animaniacs.
Then it hit me. We are stones, piled together in a medley of life, one on top of the other. Alone we are simply stones. Rock, but united we are structures, buildings, societies. You know what I mean?
Which causes, of course, all the food to fly onto Dr. Scratch and Sniff. Rehearsing with Martha Graham. Martha Graham, of course, was the famous choreographer, and she tries showing Wakko how to run into a wall in a, the most artistic way possible. She has a great scream at the end where she goes out the window.
Oh, wait, I know.
Staring at the camera is Wakko staring at the camera. A big duet is Wakko having a duet with Frank Sinatra. And he just burps. So there you go. And it also features a parody as Richard Stone is a parody in that, as well as the voice engineer's name, who I totally forget, who is also featured in Yes Always. I'm forgetting his name. Forgive me, but yeah, he's featured in that as well. The dollar store Mitch is back from Drive Insane, and this time he's working at a dollar store, and he shows Wakko that everything's $1 at there, and Wacko's like, this. He's like, yes, that's $1. This, yes, that's $1.
How much is this?
It's $1! It's all $1! That's $1. That's $1 over there. That's $1. That's $1. Everything's $1.
Everything?
Everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, goodbye already. That guy was so dumb. Uh-oh.
And everything is gone. And then that's enough of that is the last one, and all it is Wakko kind of telling the documentary guy to leave him alone, and the documentary guy won't leave him alone. The next thing that happens is, of course, Wakko just gets fed up with it and smashes the camera.
Even now, we can be assured that the Wakko Warner boy is devising...
The end. Well, there we go. Those are the different segments right there. Kelly, Nathan, what do you think? What did you think about the segments? Were they great? Were they not great? Kelly, let's start with you.
Glad I liked Lunch with Steven because Steven Spielberg. I liked him. They were just so random and short, and just thought that was sort of an interesting way of looking into the life, or the so-called life of Wakko. Just kind of fun little segments, and I thought the Martha Graham one was hilarious. Agreed.
Nathan, what about you? What segments of this stood out for you?
The Everything's $1 was that seemed like it almost could have been a whole segment of just that. And I don't know, I would almost just see a whole episode of just short segments like this. It might be fun. It just kind of sucks that Simpsons beat them to it by like 2 years, I think.
That's true, but it was still good. Either way. It was different. It was different. The Simpsons did like much longer segments though. With that was like a Pulp Fiction-y kind of episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's.
But it was based off the same. I don't know what those both were based off. I never saw the source material, but that was 32 short films, or whatever. So, and it wasn't really 32 short. Yeah, but it was fun. I also the My Dinner with Wakko, Dr. Scratch and Sniff making the things. It reminded me of Close Encounters. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but
I thought so too.
Oh, I was gonna say that because when you were talking about that, I was thinking that was because I didn't realize that was mashed potatoes. I mean, I didn't know what it was, but I thought that was a missed opportunity for him to recreate Devil's Tower and be all, this means something.
See, I was getting that vibe too, but he was just talking. It almost sounded like if Indiana Jones was abducted by aliens and was just constructing Mayan temples out of mashed potatoes and bread. I don't know. It was kind of like this weird combination.
That sounds like the plot of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, exactly. It's what happens. The first thing that happens in the next Indiana Jones film is he starts making stuff out of mashed potatoes.
This means something.
All in all, it was cute. This was there wasn't much to latch on to in this one before I moved on to the next one. If like Nathan, you said that you wish that the Mitch one was a little bit longer. I would like to see the Mitch one extended and the Dr. Scratch and Sniff one, I guess, extended. You know.
Mm-hmm.
What about the Spielberg one?
Well, the Spielberg one too, but it's I guess really what the problem was with all of these was they were all just kind of, you had one joke and then you moved on to the next one. And like the Spielberg one, I'd love to see. I guess you could kind of extend that to, in some way, to stuff going on. Like you're on the phone with Steven, you're trying to make everything sound cool, like on the other end, but you don't want.
And
to
then also, like he's driving or something. You
could still have
on the 405 kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I guess you could.
Lines. We need more lines, more shadows.
More shadows. All right, so yeah, you're right. That I could definitely see the Lunch with Steven one extended as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It reminded me a lot of those artistic kind of films. You'd have to, like when I was in college and I took a film class. It reminded me of a lot of these little things that your teacher would make you watch, and you go, but other than that, that's that. Well, let's go ahead and get to the next cartoon, which is No Time for Love. And No Time for Love was written by Marlo Weissman and Larlene Arkow. It was directed by Adu Payton. And Kelly, tell us what happens here in No Time for Love.
There is a cuckoo clock and a bird in a cage that looks just like Carluta from West Side Pigeons.
Oh, you're right.
Yep. And, but unlike Carluta, she doesn't talk. She just, chirps like a bird because she is a bird. And so the clock strikes and the cuckoo comes out and goes cuckoo. And he sees... it says in the show notes she's a canary. I don't know. I guess she does kind of look like a canary, but whatever kind of bird she is, he sees her and he, thinks she's cute and starts, cuckooing at her, and she seems kind of interested.
Ooh, cool.
But then it's time for him to go back in the cuckoo clock. So he keeps coming back out every time the clock chimes, and he is wearing like a tuxedo and has flowers for her, and doesn't even really manage to give her the flowers before the cuckoo clock pulls him back. Then he's playing a piano, and then next thing you know, they're getting married, but he's not even able to kiss her before it's time for him to go back in the clock. So then he comes up with all these ways to disconnect himself from the cuckoo clock. And he tries a rocket and a grenade. And finally, she just picks him up off the perch and puts him down. So he's finally off the cuckoo clock. But then she gets grabbed by it and is in the clock. So then she comes out and cuckoos at him. And then they both get pulled back into the clock. and I guess live happily ever after.
It's a lot of near misses with this one, isn't it? It's like they keep getting so close. There was a cute little moment at the very end where he put, that she gets pulled in without him, and then he was lighting little candles for her, which I thought was kind of cute. Well, yeah, there's just a couple references. I mean, he dresses up as Liberace at one point, which spoiler alert, I don't think Liberace was much of a ladies' man. But he's still saying to her, and there was also the he dressed up as Evil Knievel, when he was doing that Daredevil thing. You can also see some, Sylvester's Sufferin' Succotash, a bunch of, a can of Succotash at one point, and yeah, it was very similar to, I want to say there's a Merry Melodies cartoon or some Disney Silly Symphony cartoon where, I think it was like a guy on a clock he falls in love with a music box ballerina or something like that. This is very kind of similar plot where you get two characters falling in love with each other, but they have to overcome some kind of a obstacle. This was surprising to me to see another one-off with these characters. Again, we haven't seen one of these in quite some time on Animaniacs. What were your thoughts about this episode, guys? This cartoon, I should say. I guess, Nathan, let's start with you this time.
Well, it was fine. Like, it was kind of repetitive, but I liked how he kept saying cuckoo, I guess. When he shoots off in the rocket, the different ways he says cuckoo is pretty funny, and I'm glad they ended up together, I guess. It's nice.
Well, it's definitely Frank Welker-esque. I mean, there's so many Frank Welker things going on in this particular one, You have him doing both the voice of the cuckoo bird and of the girl, the canary, as well. So it was interesting to hear him doing both different kind of sounds. And to me, his canary sounds a lot like Abu, the monkey. It just it's a kind of a mix between a monkey and a bird, I think. Kelly, what about you? What did you like about this cartoon?
I thought it was sweet. They're like these little star-crossed lovers, and just trying to find a way to be together, and I thought it was sweet.
Yeah, I think overall it was probably one of the better of these one-off cartoons that we've seen. I mean, it was definitely better than what was the one where it was the moth and the fly? Do you remember this one? I'm totally forgetting what it's called, but something from one of the ones from season 1 that just didn't really stand out for me. But I thought this one was cute. It was nice.
Kids WB will be right back. Yup, after these messages. And we hope that you'll be back too.
Greetings, Persons Perusing Podcast.
Are you looking for something a little different for your Star Wars-themed shows?
Then join millions of others who now proudly call themselves scoundrels.
I don't think it's millions, Taxus.
It has to be close by now. After all the word of mouth and interwebs, nothing exists in a vacuum, Dennis.
Space does.
I'm not sure what this space vacuum you're talking about is.
Never mind. So if you're looking for a unique show for news, hot space opinions, unique discussion points with our hypotheticals, or Taxus' musings with Saber Clash, then tune into Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels with me, Dennis Keithley.
Me, Jay Krebs.
And me, your humble little Dark Lord of the Shtick, Darth Taxus. From failed bits to musical guests to dancing Wookiees, you never know who might drop by.
You really never do.
So start your engines, fire up your sabers, hold on tight, and join us.
For Starships, Sabers, and Scoundrels.
Part of the RetroZap Podcast Network.
Hey, Robert, why should people listen to another retro gaming podcast?
You mean our cast, David? We do have to keep this short,
Yes, well, I guess we should start with the fact we celebrate old school video games.
And we have awesome guests and game giveaways. Don't forget that.
Plus our game show and your favorite segment, Random Select.
Don't remind me. Are we done yet?
Listen to our cast, another retro gaming podcast, part of RetroZap.com.
Finally, back to my beer.
Hey, you guys, it's Rob Paulsen here. I am so thrilled that we have the Animanicast to continue to find a way to help me to get a frickin' job. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Let's go ahead and get to our last cartoon for today, and it is called The Boo Network. And the Boo Network is a story by John Dubiel? I think that's how I pronounce it. Dubiel. And directed by Charles Visser. And Nathan, tell us what happens here in the Boo Network.
Oh boy. Okay, so Thaddeus Plotz is holding a meeting with all the WB representatives or something, and apparently the network ratings are very low. So, and it's all Johnson's fault, whoever that guy is. It's a new guy. Anyways, it's all his fault. But luckily, Thaddeus Plott has hired a new man, and he's a human being, of course, but his name is Boo, and Mr. Boo, and it turns out he's not actually he's a chicken. So okay, but we won't find that out later. So I think so. Okay, so right now he is this human being, and Mr. Johnson loses his job, and he has to become an assistant to him. And he's like, "Hey, wait a second, this Mr. Boo is proposing all these shows that have to do with chickens." So like there's 60 Clucks instead of 60 Seconds, and there's the Egg Files, there's Melrose Coop, and David Featherman is going to be a late night host. These are all like chicken themed things. And he's like, I think that guy's a chicken. And everyone's like, hey, you just lost your job. You're on thin ice, that kind of gist. And the WB network starts doing really great. All the ratings are going up and up, and everyone's getting really excited. And they, of course, just rip off his clothes for some reason, and they find out he's a chicken.
Because that's what you do to grow up, apparently.
Yeah, if you really like someone, you just start tearing off their shirt and pants and all that. So.
Hey, don't paw it, Mr. Boo. What is it? What's the matter? What?
I told you he's a chicken.
Hollywood has its problems. We all know this.
I think that's pretty much.
They kick him out the window. This is one of the worst things for Chicken Boo ever. He gets thrown out of a 30-story window or something like that. It's pretty intense this time. But he just lands on his butt and walks away, so it's all good.
Yeah. It's fine.
It's fine. Obviously they do a lot of references to TV shows in this. The Wonderful World of Colonel Feathers, with, of course, the Wonderful World of Disney, with this cool Tinkerbell chicken flying around. The movie they're showing is the Charlie the Lonesome Chicken instead of Charlie the Lonesome Cougar, which, if you listen to our previous episode with Paul Rugg and Tom Ruegger, you'll know that Charlie the Lonesome Cougar is in part one of the influences for the woodchuck. What's that woodchuck? It's like Baynard's the woodchuck. So I thought that was kind of cool to see that reference come up again. Hen house improvement instead of home improvement. Full nest, full house. That's about it right there. Well, what did you guys think about today's this Chicken Boo? Kelly, what did you think?
I thought the references were funny. The X-Files and Melrose Place and stuff. It reminded me of some of the old shows that used to come on. Yeah. Well, X-Files, I guess, still comes on, sort of.
Yeah, I was never really a fan of the X-Files. I just know that it's not what it used to be whenever it's on now. These days, people are angry about it, so I'm like...
I lost interest after a couple episodes.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, Nathan, what did you think?
It was a little long. It was the longest Chicken Boo I've ever seen.
It was. I was looking at the count of how many, it was like, wow, we're getting into a Chicken Boo, and this is the last segment, and this is going to be a long one. Okay.
Yeah. But it's a little long, but it was. It was funny. I don't think it's my favorite Chicken Boo, because a lot of the jokes are it's the same kind of thing. It's It was fun seeing Thaddeus Plotz in it though, because he's never been in Chicken Boo.
He did meet Chicken Boo before. Remember, he was interacting with him when he was the lawyer.
Mm-hmm. But that wasn't a Chicken Boo cartoon.
That's true. That's true. Well, there we go. Those are our 3 cartoons for today. Let's go ahead and get to our Water Tower rating. So what do you guys think? Out of 5 water towers, how many water towers would you give today's episode? Kelly, let's start with you.
I will go with 3.5. I thought all the segments were pretty strong, even though they were short, but they had funny moments, and there was the Spielberg reference, and the only thing I guess it was missing, there were no fun songs in the episode, but even the chicken boo was pretty funny.
Yeah. Nathan, what about you?
Oh, I'm gonna say 2.5. I thought the middle segment was kind of a little too long, and the chicken boo was maybe a little too long. I thought they were all just a little too long, I guess. I wanted more content. I'm too demanding. I want more. But
well, I'll land right in the middle of you two. I'll give it 3. Because it was fine, but yeah, it kind of lacked a little bit of, I don't know, a little substance, I suppose. I liked the bird one a little bit more than I thought I would, which we should say, Kelly, is probably might be another Indiana Jones reference, right? Or maybe not.
I will assume that it is.
Okay.
Because everything leads to Steven Spielberg.
Yes. Okay. So we'll agree. There are 3 Spielberg references in this cartoon. We're gonna say officially. Put that in your Wikipedias, everybody. Well, let's go ahead and get to some contact information. Kelly, where can people get in contact with you online?
I'm on Twitter at YodaPrincess, YODAPRNCSS, or you can email me, Kelly, at BigShinyRobot.com.
All right. And Nathan, what about you?
Django FT is where you can find me on Twitter.
Okay, fantastic. And as for the Animanicast, we are on Facebook. Follow us there. We're on Twitter. Give us a like. And, or is it follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook? Whatever. You know what to do. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram is, of course. And you can send us an email, which is animanicast@retrozap.com. And speaking of retrozap.com, you should head over there today. There's a lot of great articles every single day. And tons of different podcasts that you should listen to for all of your pop culture needs. Plus, we have a great Discord channel, which you can access by going to discord.animanicast.com. Discord.animanicast.com. That'll bring you right into that channel where you can talk to us and other RetroZap creators. It's a great place to talk to about liking pop culture stuff, Star Wars and Animaniacs and toys and who knows what else. It's all over there. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up for today. So for Nathan and Kelly, this is Joey saying good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds of the Animaniacs characters or any other Animaniacs-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Warner Brothers, Amblin Entertainment, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.
Gee, Stephen, sure is nice to have lunch together.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad we could spend some time together.